Malcolm Coops and his wife Loretta Kuda have been trying for almost 4 years to adopt the little girl Kiani. Her name is Kiki as well, from Bali. Now, in which time they've lost their home, their business, and it was only 2 months ago that Kiki was actually allowed into Australia. Now, it looks like government red tape could send her back to Bali. Malcolm and Loretta joined us this morning along with Kiki. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Let's rewind 4 years. How did this association and the process of wanting to adopt Kiki first come up, Loretta?
Well, we were going there on holidays for a long time, and we were basically introduced by a mutual friend of ours to this woman, which is Kiki's birth mother and her grandmother, and she'd just given birth to Kiki, and they just wanted her adopted out. We hadn't planned it beforehand, so we just went there thinking we were going to visit some friends, as we often do with this friend of ours, and things just happened, and we said that we'd try our best, and I ended up staying there.
Why did they want to relinquish Kiki?
At the time, the mother wasn't married, and I don't know the full story as to why they didn't want her. You know, I suppose they wanted a better life for her as well. And they met us, and they wanted us to keep her.
Okay. Mommy, look. It's you on TV.
Who's that?
Look.
It's me.
Yeah.
And Pretty in Pink.
I want to play Play-Doh.
Her English has improved so much since she's been here.
Did you have an immediate association love for this little girl who was only 5 weeks old?
It's hard to understand, but yeah, Mel.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard to put into words, as Loretta's saying, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've seen some photos that they've shown on the Current Affairs show that sort of showed her as a tiny little baby, but you just bonded, really, from the minute we saw her.
I think the first time Mel met her, she was only 5 weeks old, and she grabbed Mel's hand, and that was it for him.
Yeah.
OK, let's get to I know you wanted to start a family. Along comes Kiki. Her birth mother and grandmother want a better life for her. What is the adoption process in Indonesia?
Well, there's adoption processes all over the world, but in Indonesia, you need to be married for 5 years in the first instance. You need to then live in Indonesia for 2 years.
Yes.
And go through the process through the various government departments, including meeting with the departments in Jakarta, and there's another Yayasan, I think, foundation who've got to assess that.
OK, so you've fulfilled a lot of these requirements. In fact, living in Indonesia, how long have you been living, Loretta? Because you two actually have virtually had to separate.
Yeah.
I've been there for nearly 3.5 years.
And you just came back a few months ago?
Came back in February, and we've actually been to the High Court. So, apart from one document, the adoption will be finalised if we get this one document.
So, hang on, you moved to Bali for 3 years. So how does that work in terms of your marriage, your relationship, and let's face it, cold, hard cash?
It's been very strained. I've visited as often as possible. We were operating a business when Loretta first went. We just started it. But I made certain that I could go over and see them whenever possible.
So how much has this cost you so far?
Oh, look, it's hard to put into sums and figures, but I sort of estimated around about 250,000. That's because we've sort of lost money on the sale of our business and had to...
And you had to move house, downgrade house to pay for the living?
Yep.
OK. So you're now... What's the current status? Because legally you are the foster mother, Loretta, aren't you?
Yeah.
So but Indonesia has let you officially, formally be foster mother?
There's only 3 stages: a birth mother, foster mother, and an adopted mother. I'm the foster mother.
OK. So you only arrived in Australia a few months with Kiki. So what does the Australian end? How do our authorities deal with this?
Well, as long as I've got a letter from her birth mother saying that she doesn't mind her coming into country, that's fine. But I was only offered a 3-month visa, and what we want a 12-month visa first of all, because we want to be a family.
So you've been to the High Court. How long has this been going through the court system in Bali?
The High Court was, once we found a lawyer who knew what he was doing, the court part was relatively quick. It only took about 6 months.
So when would you expect the box to be ticked in the courts of Indonesia to formalise this adoption?
Well,
What we need, roughly, is for the requirement for me to also live there for 2 years to be waived if that's at all
So
possible.
it's two things. You've got to have, but that's the Indonesian authorities.
Yep.
Now, with the 3-month visa, because you're now, if you're a foster mother, why did you only get a 3-month visa?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So what is it's Chris Evans, who's the Minister of Immigration and Citizenship. What has his department said to
Well,
you?
the first time they knocked... Well, we were allowed in last year for 3 months. We only stayed 4.5 weeks. I applied again last year in May for a year visa and I was knocked back. They said that the majority...
But if you're a foster mother, I don't understand if they're clear that you want to legally adopt, you've got the official documents from the birth mother, you are in the court system up there, which should be ticked off, and you are legally a foster mother, what do they say?
They say things like they have to think of the best interests of the child.
Well, naturally, and we, of course, do, because let's face it, we have to make sure this is right and proper.
Yep. It's just it's a matter of the protocols, and Australia have to be, of course, pretty sensitive to the fact that Kiki is an Indonesian, and so they need to make sure that the process is being followed.
So you have to let the court do its thing in Indonesia, and to be perfectly blunt, Indonesia hasn't always been known for its straightforwardness. There's a lot of corruption on many different levels, we have heard.
That's
Other
true.
people have done.
And from other countries as well.
And other countries. Why didn't you take the route of basically paying somebody off?
Well, the thing is, like, they're really trying hard to stamp out corruption, for one. And the other thing, why we didn't go that way was I don't want to wake up one morning and have her taken away.
OK, as it stands now, the hiccup, once you go through the appropriate formal channels there, it's the Australian Immigration and the Minister's Department, which could, if they wanted to, give you a 12-month visa, which would give you time to get it sorted.
Yes. And also, Mr Rudd is trying to strengthen our relationship with Indonesia, being a neighbour. He has it within his power to ring up the President of Indonesia and ask for that waiver. With so many things happening today with the economy and the flu and everything that's happening, which are very difficult things to fix.
I understand. But certainly there are always... The law can be an ass, but there are extenuating circumstances in every different case. So, you know what we might do? The Minister's Department, we're going to contact them and perhaps try and get Minister Chris Evans on the show tomorrow and ask if there's something we don't know about and a hurdle that needs to be overcome. Because little Kiki clearly is a very happy little girl, and if it's a little formality, you know, it's hard to see why small formalities cannot be changed because it's just right. So we'll do our best. Loretta and Malcolm, thank you. Kiki, good morning. Wave to yourself, good morning.
Say bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for having us.
We'll see what we can do. If the Minister would be kind enough to join us on the program, we'll make those contacts today. If he's available, we'd be very grateful. We'll try and get to the end of it.
Appreciate whatever can be done.
Well, I mean, it just seems so right. We'll make sure everything's right, true and correct. But good morning, thank you. She is absolutely adorable.
Thank you, Honey Bunch.